two, three. This time of day, everything's okay. I take a long look around, I have to say, this time of year, it becomes clear.
Hello and welcome to your friends and neighbors. I'm your host, Willy Jones. Going to have another very interesting show today. I'm really looking forward to it. As many of you might know, the Bennington Bookshop, there are new owners there. Rick and Ellen Havlack retired after many, many years, and well-deserved retirement, and I'm so happy that they were able to do it. But two new folks have moved in to the Bennington Bookshop, and that would be Phil Lewis and Linda Foulsham. I hope I've said that properly. We'll find out in a minute. One half of the ownership is here, and that would be Phil, and he's here to my right. Good morning, Phil. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Willie.
That's
And
good.
yourself?
I'm fine. And is it Foulsham or
Fulsham. Linda Fulsham. Yeah.
Fulsham. All right. Well, you might tell that, I think we can safely say that's not an Irish or German accent we're hearing this morning.
It's neither of those, no.
Right,
no.
right.
What would be your pick apart from those two?
I have to say British.
British, okay.
British.
Oh.
And you told me that that's where you were born.
That's correct.
You were born in the United Kingdom, ended up in Australia, and we're going to have to find out about that. So you and Linda, we're going to find out a little bit about you guys first, and then we're going to have a little conversation, and then, like we used to do with Ellen Havlack, we're going to talk books, and I always look forward to that. As you all know, I've said many times, I have more books than I'm ever going to read. My house, every room has so many piles of books in it, and it's really kind of a mess, and people might say I'm a hoarder, but no, they're books. That's not hoarding. So, Phil, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Linda too, so we get to know you guys, because our show is called Your Friends and Neighbors, and you're our new friends.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm British and Australian.
Uh-huh.
I have two passports. I grew up in England and left once I graduated from college. As a graduation present, my mother bought me a ticket to travel in the States for the summer holiday. And so many opportunities came up in that 3-month travel that I wasn't able to take because I had to go back to Britain, that I promised myself when I finished my studies completely, I would leave, not ever having to go back, so I could follow up on opportunities.
Right.
And so I did, and I ended up in Australia after a number of years, and I lived in Australia for 20 years. So when I talk now, I notice my accent is becoming more British living in the States. But if an Australian walks into the room and starts talking, then it'll shift again. And most Australians pick me as being British, but
Right.
British people pick me as being Australian. So
Okay. Well, I guess, when I heard that you're from Australia, I was thinking, oh, I guess it's an Australian accent. But then, as I heard you speaking at the bookshop and everything, I thought, no, that's more of a British accent to my ear, anyways. So you were in Australia for 20 years. Now, did you have shrimp on the Barbie?
I've had shrimp on the barbie.
Okay.
Yes,
And did you tie your kangaroo down, Joe?
I didn't quite tie
You
my kangaroo
didn't do
down.
that,
No, no.
okay.
But we had wallabies on the farm where
Oh,
we lived.
wallabies.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20 years. So what were you doing for those 20 years in Australia?
For some of the time, I taught high school. I taught Japanese and German at high school.
Oh, you can speak Japanese?
I could. I'm
could
a
if you-
little rusty now.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
used it regularly for a while.
Oh, okay.
But yes. And I taught some science as well. But I also had a cattle farm. And so, yeah.
Now, you mentioned before the show you had dogs. Cattle farm. Did you have those wonderful dogs that would herd up the...
We have a cattle dog, yes.
Ah.
And we brought, it's Blue is her name because she's a blue
They're
heeler.
so smart.
Very, very smart. The first time, Blue, we adopted from somebody who was moving into town and didn't want to have a farm dog in the town anymore. So we got this young blue heeler, 6 months old. And the first time I moved the cattle from one paddock to another, you know, the cattle go through the gate and then they all start to spread out. And I'm walking towards the shed where I wanted the cattle to come, and I realized this dog that we've had for 2 days is running its heart out, left, right and center, to bring those cattle back and make sure they followed me to the shed. Never had to train her, she just did it. And it's just
that's
wonderful.
amazing. I remember the movie Babe. I loved that movie Babe with the dog and the pigs and everything, all the animals. That was so much fun. So, so you just raised cattle, or?
Well, I had donkeys and horses too. I think everybody
sheep.
should have a donkey. No, where we lived, it wasn't really sheep country.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the merino, right?
Yeah,
Is that the
that's
big,
the
okay.
big Australian sheep, yeah.
Okay. Now, Linda, how did you and Linda come together? I mean, as I understand it, Linda lived in the States. You told me that she was from Boston. You're in Australia. How did the two of you end up getting together?
Pure luck. It's one of those coincidences that, you know, would almost seem like it was arranged, but it wasn't. It was just pure luck.
Kismet.
Yeah. Linda worked at the University of New Hampshire for a long time, and the University of New Hampshire had an educational travel program for retirees. They don't run it anymore, but the university would ask staff to lead groups on tours overseas, so to France and to Italy and to Australia. And I worked part-time for the University of Queensland as an educational travel guide. So I'd work with groups from Japan and China, Vietnam, Germany, who came with a particular focus to Australia. So for example, I would work with a group from Japan who was interested in training dolphins to work in parks.
Interesting.
So one of the study groups that would come was this group from the University of New Hampshire, and they'd been coming for several years, and there was a particular guide that came with them every year, and they were met by Peggy, one of my colleagues, who took them on a 4-week wonder journey through some really beautiful parts of Australia.
Into the outback too, or just
into the outback?
Wow.
Yes, right into the
they got
outback.
a real,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And in 2004, at the very last minute, Peggy had to go into hospital for an operation on her knees. So 2 days before this group was arriving from America, the university asked me to step in, and I said, yep, sounds like fun. And I was given the name of the person I was supposed to meet, but that changed at the last minute because the University of New Hampshire representative was unable to come, and Linda stepped in at the last minute. So there we were, both last minute ring-ins for this wonderful tour. We met at Sydney Airport at about 6:45 p.m. on the 12th of February. I know, because I was meeting a plane and the time and the date.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay.
And we spent the next 3.5 weeks travelling around Australia to historic sites, cultural sites, beautiful islands, beaches, the outback.
So
everything.
romantic.
Yes, we went to Uluru in Central Australia, and it was just, yeah, that's how we met.
And when did she realize you were not Peggy, but Phil?
Fairly soon, because
okay.
I had a beard and Peggy didn't. But yeah, so we had a sign up into hostel for the group from University of New Hampshire, and Linda said, "Where's Peggy?" And I said, "Oh, I'm here instead." And so, yeah.
Now, you said that Linda was born in Boston, and that she worked a lot in libraries and bookshops before.
She worked
for a while or something.
Two bookstores here.
In the States.
Yes, but I'm not sure about the details of those. But she also worked in 2 bookstores in Australia.
Oh.
Because Linda and I commuted between Australia and New England for a year and a bit before we decided to get married, and Linda moved to Australia. I had 2 older dogs, which is why Linda said, "Oh, well, I'll move to Australia," because we didn't think we could move the dogs here. So we lived together on our farm in not quite the outback, but it was a good 50-minute drive to a coffee shop. So from Linda's perspective, it was definitely way out there, but not in Australian terms. And Linda didn't really like the climate. We were in subtropical pretty Australia, warm. And it's pretty warm. You have to walk slowly, and Linda, as a New Englander, was used to walking quite briskly, and so we'd get a little hot. So we made a 3-year plan to move to the States, and Linda, I felt New England would be a little cold for me, so Linda just opened a map of the state and said, okay, where? And I randomly put my finger on the map, and it said Boone, North Carolina. So we had a 3-year plan to move to Boone. Neither of us had been to North Carolina. We had no idea.
What a chance you were taking! Just boom.
Yep.
Just pointed to, and
that was it. And 2 days after making this 3-year plan, Linda came and said, "Oh, there's a university in Boone, and there's a job there that I'm sort of qualified to apply for." And I said, "Well, why don't you apply for it?" She said, "But we have a 3-year plan."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, just test the waters." And sort of 3 weeks after picking up my finger off the map there, Linda had, in those 3 weeks, flown to the States for an interview, flown back to Australia, flown to England for a holiday, back to Australia, and then was in Boone, North Carolina, with a job.
Everything is sort of coming together for the two of you. Well, it seems like kind of easily.
It was not so easy because I didn't have a visa. So I had to apply as a spouse and get a green card, and that took about 6 months. So again, there was a lot of commuting between North Carolina now and Australia, and then I finally moved, and we were in Boone for 7 years, and in the last 2 years, Linda and I had been looking for a place to open a bookshop, and we looked and we looked and we looked, and nothing was quite right, and it was just, it was obviously we were getting the message that we weren't supposed to open a bookshop in Boone. So we started looking for bookshops that were for sale around the country, and the Bennington Bookshop was available, and we came up to Bennington this time last year and had a look and liked what we saw. So then we started talking to Rick and Ellen, and here we are.
Now, evidently, you and Linda both must have a passion for reading for books. I'm assuming that is part of the reason why. Why a bookshop? Why all of a sudden? Why was that something that the two of you thought? Was it because of your passion for reading? Was reading important in your youth? Was that something that really meant a lot to both of you?
We both read, and we've carried books all over the world. I just finally moved here just 2 weeks ago and had to give away shelves and shelves and shelves of books before moving, simply because we had a library at home, and it was too much.
Yeah.
But I've started collecting books again now that I'm here, and one of the joys of walking around the bookshop is there are so many books out there waiting to be read.
That's right. Yeah. So it's working out for you. You're enjoying it.
I'm not reading as much as I'd like.
Well, I know that was a problem. I know with Ellen and Rick. Ellen was very happy when they go on vacation because she would catch up. Ellen kept a little journal of the books that she had read, and that when she'd come in to talk to me, she'd talk about books that she had read and that people might like, and then we talk about other books too. When you were a child, were you read too? Did you start reading at a very early age? Evidently your family brought books into your house too when you were young.
Yes, I was read too, but we all read. My family are all readers. My brother is a journalist. Another brother is an author. He has books published. So we've always been reading and writing and surrounded by books. And remember, growing up, we used to every weekend drive to the nearest big city, which was big it's not very big really, but it's Bath in the west
Right,
of the
right.
UK. And Bath has lots of narrow little streets and alleyways, and down just about everyone there was a bookshop, and that's how we would spend our Saturday afternoons, was going from bookshop to bookshop and just sitting on the steps reading books and buying what we could afford and coming back the next week and doing it all over again.
And what about libraries? I mean, to me, I guess the library was a place where I spent a lot of my time just sitting and reading, and at the old Mark Skinner Library in Manchester, Vermont, when I was a kid.
Yep. Yeah, there was a small library in the little town we grew up in. The town was only 3,000 people, so the library was sort of quite small, but it was a source of books. Did spend a lot of time there choosing books and bringing them home and reading. And
what were some of the books that you remember from your childhood?
well, that's an interesting.
You just happen to have.
I just happen to have one, and
See,
the
this is
reason
one
I
of the
just happen
nice
to
things
have one.
I kind of like about the new owners of the bookshop, that I think they're going to be bringing some Australian authors and things like that into the store. I think you also, I think I bought some cards the other day that might have been Australian too.
I'm not
don't
sure.
know.
Linda is the card specialist.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't know.
Okay, here's one of the books I read growing up, Swallows and Amazons by Arthur Ransom. And the reason I bought this today was because I was walking around the bookstore on one of my visits about 3 months ago, and just going through the shelves and seeing what we had and what we didn't have. And I bumped into this book. There it was on the shelf.
There. Oh, okay.
It was there. And it's a series of books set in the northwest of England, in the Lake District, and it's just about young people sailing on a lake, camping on an island in the lake, and having adventures and fun. And it was just...
I know that name. He's written quite a few books,
there's
right?
a
I
whole,
know that name
there's
is very
probably
familiar
10
to
books in the series, and Swallows and Amazons is the first one. And
okay.
yeah, they're just...
Was it just the
right.
series that he wrote, or did he write other...
I think it's just the series. Yeah.
And he wrote basically just children's books. Huh.
So this is, as I say, one of the books I read growing up, and I was delighted to find it on the shelf. And, you know, it's just seeing a book, and being able to touch a book that you've read from some time ago, from a totally different life. It just reconnects you instantly.
People get so upset with me. You know, I refuse to have a Kindle. I say I have to feel the book, I have to smell the book, I have to be able to open those pages. I keep saying, when I get at a certain age, and if I need to, I will have a Kindle, but not yet. I have to feel it. I have to feel the
touch,
book.
isn't it? It's
And
so
yeah,
important.
it is. It's that tactile. I don't know. It's just something I have to have the book in my hand, and. When I walk into any bookstore, it just, if I walk into like a Barnes & Noble, it's like my brain explodes. I need these smaller independent bookstores where I can go in and, okay, there's enough here to satisfy me.
Right.
Don't drive me crazy. And I was up at one of your competitors. I was up at an independent bookstore up North Shire in Bennington. I went to listen to Alex Kershaw, and he spoke about how important the independent bookstores are. It's a hard time, I think, to be opening a bookstore, isn't it? I mean,
it is, but just in the last couple of years, you know, some of the stories coming out, independent bookstores are making a bit of a comeback at the expense of reading machines.
I hope so.
You know, there's a whole idea out there that a town isn't a town unless it has a bookshop. And Bennington has a bookshop. And we've been so fortunate here, the number of people who have come in and said, thanks for keeping our bookshop open. You know, and we think...
Oh, there was the fear.
Yeah.
Oh, people are so afraid. I mean,
Right.
we've lost so many businesses here in Bennington, and I know that people were afraid that, oh no, what are we going to do? The Bennington Bookshop it's been so important in our lives, and you know, what am I going to do? That last minute Christmas shopping, I have to go to the Bennington Bookshop. So it's so great that you and Linda were able to take it over. Now, do you have any? I'm assuming you probably have big plans in your heads about how in the future you'd like to see, things that you'd like to see happen at the bookshop?
There are things we'd like to see happen.
I heard something about coffee.
We're going very slowly because we want to establish ourselves and find, but we would like to have coffee there. And this is one of the things, as I said earlier, we were looking in Boone, North Carolina for a couple of years for an appropriate place, and one of the things we ran into all the time was that the landlords didn't want us to change the property in any way. So that, trying to suggest, could we put a coffee machine in here? No, that won't work.
Okay.
So we were so pleased when we met our current landlord. We just said, could we put some coffee machines in there? Great idea was the response, and it was just so positive that it was just, So coffee is a possibility,
So you're really, any other changes that you have?
We have a website now.
Okay, we'll make sure the website is at the end of the show. We'll have that right out there so everybody can see it.
So
what is that website?
It's www.benningtonbookshop.com.
Very simple.
Very simple. We have a Facebook page. I know Ellen ran the Facebook page too, and we've just sort of taken that over. So we're using that to promote reading a lot. Some of the other things we've done and are doing, we're trying to do a few more author events, and we have a number coming up. If I could talk about a couple of those.
I'd love to hear about those.
Now, I'm hopeless at dates, so I'm going to have to look at my notes for these, okay?
Oh, listen.
You know the feeling.
I have lots of notes I have to look at.
Okay, well, Archer Mayer is coming out with a new book. I'm sure everybody knows. We already have many pre-ordered.
Many people in Bennington know about Archer Mayer.
Okay, well, his new book is coming out on September the 29th.
What's the title of it? Do you have the title?
Yes, The Company She Kept.
Oh, The Company She Kept.
And I've actually had the privilege of reading an advance copy.
Okay.
And it's as good as ever.
Really good.
It's just another great Joe detective novel. Yeah, he's just so solid.
Yeah.
And Archer is coming to the Bennington Free Library on the 8th of October to do a reading from his book and a book signing. So that's at 7 o'clock.
He always has good stories.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. It's my first.
Yeah, because you haven't had a chance. He's been coming here, I don't know for how many years. Every October you know that he's going to show up.
And it's just after his book comes out, so it's the ideal time. Just come along, get a book, get it signed.
That's right. And, no, I have a friend, I think he still does it every year. He had to go get that Joe Gunther book and get it signed. And he always has, he had a specific words. This is the way this is the way I want you to write it. So I don't know. Probably you're listening, aren't you, Dick? But
there you go. There you go. Well, on that note, while we're talking, Archer,
I know you have most of his books, if not all of them, right there in the mystery section.
Most of them, yeah. Sometimes we lose one because people sell it, but this is last year's book, and it's just come out in paperback. If you have been waiting for that, it's now out in paperback.
This is the book, the form of book that I like, the trade. I like that. I like that.
It's a nice
just
size.
The size
it's a nice weight. Yep. So it's just come out, and we have those available in the bookshop.
Good. So you got that too.
Yep.
So that's October. You said the 7th.
October the 8th. Yeah.
Okay. October 8th. Archer Mayer.
Then on the 13th of October we have a book launch party for a Bennington author. Okay. That's Marie White Small is coming out with her first novel. So Stony Kill, it's called.
Okay.
And we will be having a launch party for it at the bookshop.
Was there something about her in the banner this week?
There was,
right?
Yeah, just yesterday it was. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's who that is.
First book, that's exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah. And we'll have an interview with Marie in our next newsletter, which comes out at the beginning of the month.
A newsletter, okay. Great.
And then on the 17th of October, and looking forward to this one, Megan Mayhew Bergman, local best-selling author.
Okay.
Her latest book, Almost Famous Women. Yep. She is doing a writing workshop for us. So it's about writing your first short story. So
and that will be at the bookshop?
That will be at the Bennington Free Library
at the
again.
Library too.
We do lots of events we collaborate on a lot
Yes,
of
that's
events.
wonderful.
So,
Yes.
yep. So
That's
that'll
great.
be at the Bennington Free Library
Oh,
on the
that's wonderful.
17th of October. And then the last date on a calendar at the moment, but I'm sure we're getting more, 2nd of November, Howard Frank Mosier is coming again to the library to talk about his new book, God's Kingdom,
Well,
which will
that
be released on
and that will
October
be well
the 6th.
received.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I haven't met him.
Oh, you have? Okay.
No.
Yeah. No, that's another interesting person to listen to when they
Right.
speak. Yeah. Yeah.
We've been emailing back and forth a bit, but
Yeah,
I'm looking
okay.
forward to it. And then
So
this
you're
one,
busy. You're
well,
busy.
this one just, we thought we were busy, but obviously not busy enough. This
Oh,
just
boy,
arrived
that's quite a
yesterday.
few.
The Hummingbird, it's a novel by Stephen Kiernan, who is a Vermont author. And his publicist phoned yesterday and said, oh, we're coming your way on the 3rd of October. Would you like us to do a book reading? And we said, sure.
Sure.
Okay, so October the 3rd, we have a book reading with Stephen Kiernan
Oh, wow.
from his new book, The Hummingbird. And I haven't read it. As I say, it just arrived yesterday. But just reading, if I may, can I read a little from the front?
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll read this one at the back.
Okay.
It's a comment from Mary Morris, the author of The Jazz Palace. And Mary says, I'm not sure I've ever read a novel that so poignantly depicts the brevity of life, the significance of each moment, and the impact we have on one another. And that just makes me want to read this book.
It's something I'm having a very big problem with right now is the brevity of life. The older I get, I will read that book, I'm sure, but it's something I am really having a difficult time dealing with. Is
And
the
there's
brevity
so
of
much
life.
to do, isn't
you know,
there?
I mean, I've lived that much, and this is all I got left. It really, I don't know. I just,
And
I
there are
find it
all those
scary.
books in the bookshop that are still to be read,
Oh, sure.
you know?
Oh, that's it. And
Yeah.
well, not just the bookshop. My house, as I said, is mounds of books. Also, I read in the Banner the article that was written about you and Linda that before taking over a bookshop, you did a seminar or a couple seminars
yeah.
to help you know more about running a bookshop.
Linda attended a seminar, and as a result of that, she thought it was very helpful. We actually signed up for a week-long course, and we got to go down to Florida. We stayed at a little hotel on a beach,
Oh,
and
nice.
every day we met with a group of people, and were led through the do's and don'ts of bookselling, buying bookshops, what works, what doesn't, things to think about. The group that ran the workshop are called Paz and Associates, and they were just very helpful, and they've continued to be helpful. They helped both Rick and Ellen and Linda and me in the negotiation of
okay. So Rick and Ellen were involved too.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
in the negotiation of the purchase and the handover, and they continue to offer advice. And one of the things we've got planned, probably next year, is to have them come and look at the bookstore and think how we could reorganize it slightly, just to change the feel.
Mhm.
If there's a need for a change. You know,
Right.
what they do is
Right.
advise people on layouts and how to draw people in and stuff like that. So we might have them out next year.
Interesting idea. Huh. So you found it very, very helpful then?
It was very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, there were things that you just, you know, I'm not going to even think of them now, but there were things that they mentioned that I thought, yes, of course, but it's something I wouldn't have thought about. But they were just so, yeah.
Now, Linda was taking care of the shop quite a bit by herself there for a while. Were you there when it first opened, at the very beginning, the first few days?
Yes.
What was that like? Those first few days? That
It was.
it's our dream. We've done it.
It was
the feeling.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was exciting, very, very exciting, but overwhelming. And we would just go home and sit and look at each other and fall asleep. And that was it, you know. And
Yeah.
now we get to go home and sit and look at each other and talk a little bit and maybe read some before falling asleep. But that first week, it was just totally exhausted
I
every
bet,
afternoon.
I bet
Yeah.
Linda's happy, though, that you're there all the time now.
I think she is. Well, I certainly hope she is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how many,
she says she
how many
is.
people do you have working for you at the bookshop?
We have we have John, who's there most days.
Yes, I see John
Yeah,
quite a bit. I remember
okay.
the first time I walked in, he said, "Oh, this is Willie that reads the Declaration of Independence of the Monument. I know who you are."
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. So
And Joan Gardner's daughter
yes,
was
Lucy.
working. Is she there too?
Lucy is
Okay.
there. Yeah, Lucy does a few hours a week.
Yeah.
Then we have Chris, who comes
Oh.
in and helps us unpack books twice
Known
a week.
her for years.
Yeah.
She's a really nice lady.
And then we have Brett, who helps us out on Sundays
Okay.
with Kate and Mary Jo.
Oh, you've got quite a few people.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
most of them only do a couple of hours. They're really helpful filling in the gaps
Yeah.
when we're...
Are you staying with the
stuck.
same hours?
We actually extended the hours a little bit through summer.
Yeah.
So most days we're open 9 till 6, but on Friday we're open 9 till 8,
Okay.
and then on Sunday it's noon till 4.
Still noon to 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, evidently, the passion that you guys have for reading and opening this bookshop, Bennington has really helped you to reach that passion. It's
yeah,
working
and as
so
I
far.
said, we've had so many people come in and say thank you for saving the bookshop, and
Okay.
you know it's just been such a show of support. And every day, I'm not sure what I can mention and what I can't, but nearly every day we have somebody call and say, can we order books through you, because we'd rather use a bookshop than the big internet
Right,
retailer
right.
that's out there that I won't mention.
Right,
And so there's that level of support. It's just really, really been great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's
And
wonderful.
The other piece that I was surprised by coming here is the people coming in to buy the books. I was sort of thinking older people would be our main customers. But we have young children who come in every week to spend their pocket money on books. We have people
love
of
that.
all ages buying and reading
It's
books.
so nice to see kids. You know, the kids are saving their money because they want to buy
Buy
a
a
book.
book.
The last time I was there, last week or whatever, there was a little girl and her mother leaving, and the little girl was talking about, maybe the next time I come, I'll have enough money, I can buy another book, right? And the mother
We
said,
love it.
yes,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yep.
And another thing that I really enjoyed the other day, I walked in and I said hi, and I said hi to Linda, and Linda said, hi, I'm off to the farmer's market. And I thought, oh, they're already getting into
Yep.
a good feeling of Bennington here and going to the farmer's market. Have you had a chance to do any, probably not with your hours, very much sightseeing, like going to the
Very
monument
little.
and the museum and all these different things? You're going to have time off to
We
get to know the area
went
better.
to the monument in March, but not realizing that it wasn't open for summer
Right,
at that
right,
time. So we will try again, but
Okay.
we just haven't had time to do
No, I'm
very
sure,
much at all.
I'm sure. You're
Now
used
I'm
to it.
here, we're hoping to do something for ourselves on
Right.
Sundays.
Yeah. Oh, that would
and
be
just
great.
go off,
Right,
because
right, right.
we have people who come in to do the bookshop on Sunday, and
Right.
it's very hands off. So we
Right.
have that day.
Right.
And
That's great.
We're hoping to go kayaking on a lake somewhere this Sunday if
That's
the weather's
what
fine. So
Ellen and Rick used to do a lot
Yeah.
of kayaking. Yeah, they were good at that. Well, you shared a couple books. So
Well,
let's,
well, we were
let's,
just talking about young people reading,
yeah.
so I wanted to mention something too. This is one other thing we've been
okay,
doing.
fine.
What I'm doing is I'm trying to encourage young people to read books and write a short book review. And we post those on our website.
You're right, and just on the website. Okay.
Okay, and then, no, we choose one a month and publish it in our newsletter.
Okay.
And the one we publish, the person who wrote that, we give a $10 gift certificate to.
Oh, that's
So-
wonderful.
All you young readers out there, please start reading and send us some reviews, because we
that's
love
great.
reading them. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I noticed too that at the front of the store you have your choices, the bookshop
Yes, the
choices
stuff
and
picks.
stuff.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say some of the children's are going to end up there. And you also still had that nice section of books by Vermont authors. So,
That's right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's really, I don't know, it's a wonderful thing to have
Oh,
a
thank you.
bookstore in your town. Stuff
Yes,
like that.
yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay. Now, you did all the events. So, what are some of the, to make sure we have enough time here to talk about some of the books that
Some
you
of
did
the
bring,
books,
'cause I know you
okay.
did. We're going to have another show, folks, when we can talk about Australia a little bit more, you know, find out a little bit more about what's going on. So.
Well, I have a couple of Australian books I'll introduce in a
Okay,
moment, but
great.
first off, I wanted to share this
Beautiful
one with
table,
everybody. This is
coffee table book.
Ed Rubin is a Hollywood production designer, and he basically has a love affair with Vermont, and he spent 4 years creating this book. It's just got some stunning photographs in. He took 20,000 photographs to create this book,
Wow.
and narrowed it down to about 200. And yeah, it's just delightful. I'm trying not to bang the microphone, but it's a very difficult book to
Right,
hold
no,
without banging
you're
it.
below your mic.
And yeah, there's just photographs from all
the
over.
Marble Quarry. and
The Marble
Danby, yeah.
Quarry, yeah.
Oh God, look at these faces.
Yeah.
And the mask. Oh God, what a wonderful photo with these wonderful faces on the two people, and then the mask
Behind them, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and so, as I said, Ed thinks we are extremely lucky to be living in Vermont. He just says it's a special place.
Right.
and
Well, this would be a wonderful Christmas gift.
Yes.
For not just for your coffee table, but to share with your family. With your
Well, this
that's
one,
wonderful.
this actual copy will be going to the UK. I hope my parents
Oh.
don't watch this show,
Oh.
so that they, because Ed was kind enough to sign that for
Oh,
us. So,
great!
Yep.
Great.
So
It's beautiful. Oh, yeah.
that one.
I'm sure it looks. Yeah, it looks like it would be wonderful to peruse.
Okay, I have an Australian classic here.
Oh God. Yeah,
Possum Magic.
and my favorite is Koala Lou.
There we go. I haven't read Koala Lou.
Oh, you don't know
No.
Koala Lou? This I've met Mem Fox.
You have, okay. She lived just down the road. Well, I say just down the road. It's in Australian terms from where we lived.
Yeah.
About an hour away. Yep.
Oh God, she's one of the nicest people I've ever met. My wife and I would go to these this big book fair down in Albany every year, and we would get a chance to meet like 30 authors and illustrators. And Mem Fox came one year, and I can remember she had the reddest hair,
Yep.
but she was a delight.
Well, this, as I say, is an Australian classic, Possum Magic.
I had it in my classroom.
You did?
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
so you can
Oh,
tell
yeah,
us the
Koala
story then.
Lou and
Yeah.
Possum Ma- Oh yeah, I had
Yeah.
all of Mem Fox.
Yep. Okay.
Love Mem Fox.
So, and the story is Grandma Poss here does magic, and she did some magic to make one of her grandchildren, Hush, disappear so she would be safe from snakes. But then
it's a
she
very
couldn't
magical
find the
book.
spell to make Hush reappear, so they had to go on a grand tour of Australia to find the right recipe to make the right magic so that Hush could reappear.
And there's Edward the Emu.
Yes,
There,
yeah.
Edward, yeah,
Let's have a
okay.
look. So there's
I
probably some
remember
more
Edward.
listed
I
in
don't
the
think
front
Mem
there.
Fox. I don't think Mem Fox did those, but I can't remember who wrote the Emu books. But
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And another classic is Blinky Bill. I don't know whether you've read
I
about
don't know Blinky Bill.
Blinky Bill is about a one-eyed koala.
Oh,
So he blinks a bit. Yeah.
oh.
Yeah,
Huh.
but-
There's something about I love koalas. I just think they're so. They just.
They're so cute.
Ah,
Yes.
they're
Are
adorable.
you aware
Do you
that
ever
they're
get a
very
chance to
smelly?
hold a koala?
Yes, yes.
I heard that they're very smelly.
they
Is that
eat-
because of what they eat?
The gum leaves they
Because of
eat,
the
yeah.
gum, okay.
So they smell of the gum leaves.
Okay.
They sleep 19 hours a day. They don't
That's
do very
ridiculous.
much. And they're high because of the gum leaves. The gum leaves have a slight narcotic effect. So that's, they're sort of asleep in the trees a lot.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they can move pretty quickly
Yeah.
when they need to.
There's another Australian book I had with the kids that I loved. Now I can't think of the title of it. Maybe it will come to me as we're talking here.
Okay.
So,
I have a novel. It's the first in a series of 3 about settling the white settlement of Australia by an Australian author, Kate Grenville. And this book it's gripping, it's very powerful, and it's really, really sad at the end, but it's just a beautiful book. She writes beautifully. So it's about a family settling on a river about 2 hours north of Sydney, at the time of the first settlement, and their interaction with other settlers in that area, but also with the Aboriginal people who have traditionally owned the land for millennia, and the relations between all those people. And yeah, it's just a very powerful
And
book.
you said it's a trilogy.
Yes.
This is the number. This is the first.
This is the first. All 3 books are out. This is just the first in the series.
It drives me crazy. I pick up a book and I think, well, I just finished. I can't think of the author name. God, her book is right up in front too. And there's another one that'll come to me. I thought I was buying maybe the 3rd, the 4th in the series. It turns out it was the first one. And I know you've got the 4th one in the series at the Bookshop. And I thought, I don't know, I gotta look at 2 and 3 before I get into 4. What? I can't think of that name.
I know who you're talking about, but I'm blanking too. It's My Struggle by a Norwegian author.
No, this isn't Norwegian. That's who's Joe Nesbo?
No, Joe Nesbo is Norwegian.
Norwegian. Yeah. Okay, I know. I've read a couple of those books, but no,
this is Klaus over something like that. But I'm blanking. Sorry.
No, I'm blanking on this one too. It's a very interesting book, and I would kind of like to look into the 2 and 3 before I try 4. But you know, knowing me, I'll probably buy 4 and then
work backwards.
It'll go in one of the piles until I get 2 and 3.
Well, it might be like one of those Beatles records. If you play it backwards, it has a secret message.
That's
you know, you could try that with the books. Read them backwards. Yeah.
No, I think I would like
try
to read
that one. Yeah.
You said it's sad at the end. Well, you know, I can take sad. So you know, I'll have my Kleenex ready because I will cry. If it's sad, I'll cry. If it's touching, I'll cry.
Well, and you know, the first book I read by Kate Grenville is The Idea of Perfection, and that's not sad. That is lovely.
So many people say, no, I don't want to read anything with a sad ending. I don't want to read anything that has to do with World War II. A lot of older people, no, I don't want, no war. I don't want to read about war. I don't want anything sad. My sister-in-law, if I recommend a book to her, I have to promise her that it has a good ending. She will not read it unless it has a good ending. So,
well, this
like
has
the
a
movie
powerful.
too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch that movie if I'm going to cry. I said, no, you're okay. You're safe with this one.
Okay. Now, well, this has a powerful ending, but yeah, it is.
Well, it says right here it's a master work. So.
Yes. Yeah.
I usually will listen whenever they say, oh, it must be really good.
And it is. And I had a copy at home in North Carolina, and I lent it to everybody in the community, and they all loved it.
Are you ever a little bit afraid of recommending a book to somebody and then they come in and say, I didn't like that book at all? Is that something you just have to live with?
You just have to live with it. It's always scary that
you
know, people come in all the time and ask for suggestions, and that's why we have the staff picks at the front of the.
Right.
And if you look at those shelves, they're totally different. The books on each of the shelves.
Right.
And it's because everybody likes different
books.
Yeah.
And you're very willing to order books. I've
Happily,
already done some ordering, and you will order. You still do the gift wrapping if somebody wants it wrapped.
Yes, Linda's the expert at that. I'm not quite
so
as
if you're
neat.
there by yourself.
I can do it. I can do it, but I'm not quite as neat. But yeah.
Ellen was, I think, the expert too. Although Rick was pretty good too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, so that's Kate Grenville. What else have we got? Well, I know.
Before we run out of time, we'll get a few more in here.
Willy was mentioning before we came on the show that Ellen didn't used to talk about crime.
No, she was not a mystery person.
We're going to change that up a little bit because I read quite a lot of crime.
Oh, okay.
And
maybe you'll introduce me to somebody new.
Well, maybe I will.
Do you read Greg Iles?
I don't know Greg Iles. Here's someone else I'll have to read.
Harlan Coben, I like.
Okay, so I have a book by Craig Johnson here. It's Kindness Goes Unpunished. Craig Johnson wrote the books that became the Longmire TV series.
Right. I saw that. Yeah, I saw the series.
Okay, so I love the TV show. The books are even better. The relationship between Henry Standing Bear and Walt Longmire is explained more deeply. It's just, yeah, they're great reads. And I have a funny little story. Craig Johnson once asked his wife, who her favourite crime novelist was. And without pause, she said Archer Mayer. So Craig Johnson says, I'm still recovering from that blow, but but his books, they're a great read, a really, really solid read.
Write that down, Craig Johnson. Okay.
Yep, Craig Johnson. Another one, I had my books all neatly ordered, but that's gone away. Henning Mankell is a Swedish writer.
You're introducing me to new people here. I love that.
Okay, and he's written a series of books about a detective in the south of Sweden, in Scania, and the detective's name is Kurt Wallander. Now, both BBC and Swedish TV have made television mini films about different books of his, but they're a great read, solid, sort of in the vein of Archer Mayer, you know, just solid, not beat 'em up, shoot 'em up, crazy crime, just a solid story.
Are they series with the same detectives all the time?
Yes,
or
it's always
different?
Kurt Wallander is the lead detective, and
Wallander, yes. The PBS has had the Wallander.
Okay, so they're great reads, and we have a whole series of those.
Okay, Wallander.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and I think I have one more crime book here. Lost it in the. Here we go. Tom Wright, Blackbird. This is his second novel, and this was just a great.
I read about this someplace.
Yeah. We've had a little shelf talker in the bookshop about it. Maybe you read it there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But I really enjoyed it. And again, it's, you know, it's not craziness. It's just solid, sensible, realistic crime story.
No,
a very good read.
The sad thing about this book is I would see this cover and think, ooh, I think I want to read that. A cover can sell me.
They can, can't they? Yeah, but you remember that old saying?
It's kind of sad to say, but yeah, a cover can.
They can, but you should never judge a book by its cover.
That's right.
But this one is, as I say, a very good read.
Oh, okay. I'll have to, that one I want to really keep in mind.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then another genre I think Ellen stayed away from was science fiction.
Yeah, no, science fiction, mysteries, no,
Nope,
she was not a big fan.
Well, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to science fiction. I like the science fiction classics like 2001 and Dune and I, Robot and things like that. Things that have a lot of science in them that's just ahead of our science today.
Did you ever read Chrome?
I don't think I
By
have.
George Nader. He was an actor from the 50s.
No, I don't think
Really
I
interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting
don't know
about gay robots.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Wow,
It was really good.
sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So, but sometime in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, science fiction seemed to move towards a more fantastical thing.
Right.
You know,
Right,
not
fantasy.
so much
Yeah, more,
science. And so, just recently, I've been so pleased to come across some traditional type science fiction novels, which are new novels.
Okay.
And one of them is The Martian.
Oh, is that based the new movie?
Yes.
Oh, the
Just
movie
been made
looks
into
wonderful.
a movie. So this is by Andy Weir, and it's about the Martian, who is left behind on Mars by his crew who thought he died in an accident, and they had to make a quick escape because of the accident, and he has to find a way to survive until the next ship can come in. So it's a great story, and as I say, the science is believable, realistic, but a little more advanced.
Yeah, the movie's getting a lot of good buzz. I heard
and
somebody
it's a
tell
great
me it
read.
was a really good story.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
So if you want to read it, before you see the movie,
Yes.
So 'cause a lot of people, the book was better than the movie. So you never know.
I usually.
I think most people will say the book was better.
Well, I think with the movie is you end up having a director's interpretation of the book
That's right.
instead of your interpretation of the
Right.
book, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
we all have different interpretations.
Yeah, I could
and-
have completely different. And I'm one of these people who, I guess because I'm an actor, as I'm reading a book, I try to take on the persona of everybody in the book. So sometimes it takes me a little longer to read a book because I'm sort of acting it out in my head.
Yeah.
I take on the different voices and stuff like that, which
That
Some
sounds
would say, I think
exhausting.
it is exhausting. I'm
I
exhausted
read books to
after a
relax.
book.
Yeah.
No, I can't. And now, when you read a mystery, are you trying to solve the mystery before the end? Are you just letting it, just fall in place? Because I don't care. I don't want to use my brain trying to figure out, okay, all right, this one, well, no, maybe, I don't know. I like to be surprised at the
find
end.
the novels I read, the mysteries I read, are of a kind where I'm reading them for the story,
Okay.
and they do come to a satisfying end.
Okay.
Whereas the more suspenseful ones, where they keep throwing in things at the last minute to
twists
change the
and
direction,
all these twists and turns that drive you nuts.
I don't enjoy those so much.
Oh, you see, I
So,
do.
yeah,
I do.
okay,
I
yeah.
love being, I
Yeah,
like
you're
this
surprised,
Linda Fairstein book
Yeah.
that I just finished,
No.
Terminal City, all about this big brouhaha that's going on at Grand Central Terminal. God, it was exciting.
Yep. No,
I
I'll
love
have
the
to look
twists and
that one
turns.
up. I'll have to look that one up. But one other science fiction book I came across just recently is Saturn Run, which is by John Sanford and Steen.
John Sanford.
Yes.
Does the Prey,
That's the author,
I didn't know he did science fiction.
Well, this is his first one, I think, and it's released on the 6th of October, and it's about they detect an alien presence in the rings of Saturn, and there's a space race. The US and China are racing to make first contact with these people, with this alien.
I like Sanford.
Yeah,
I like his other books.
it was a very satisfying read, and it's in that traditional kind of science fiction. It's set in 2066.
And that's one of the nice things about owning a bookstore. Many times you can get these books ahead of time, and you can get a chance to read them and know what's
Yep,
Yeah,
and
that's
think
wonderful.
this will fit in the bookshop or it won't, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's coming out on
Is that
October the 6th.
Is that easy for you guys to decide? Okay, this book is going to work. Maybe this book won't work here.
It's really hard.
You got to. Sometimes it's
And
just
Linda does the purchasing.
Yeah.
Ellen has helped hugely in sort of the first few months.
Yeah.
But learning the community, and then through the summer, a lot of our business is with tourists, so that's a different community again. They have different needs or different requirements. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. These tourists that come in are usually looking for probably books. Are they looking for books about Vermont?
There's two groups. There are people who come in looking for books about where they are, the
Right.
history, the geography, the plants,
Right.
the walks.
Right, because they're hikers or
And then there are the people who come in and they just want a summer's read. So
Yeah.
their idea is they're going to sit under a tree and relax. That's what their holiday is for.
Is there a book right now that you think is well, the summer's just ended, but was there a book this summer that was considered the summer read?
Well, we had on
I
our
thought The Girl on the
website.
Train was.
I'm looking. Well, that's I have a long list of books that I have to get to reading. That's
Right.
one of them,
Yeah.
and that's been on the bestsellers list. So
Yeah,
yes.
for a while. Yeah.
One I would, for me, well, two I'll pull up.
Yeah, I think we have enough time for two more.
Okay. For me, The Storied Life of A.J. Vickery is just a delightful read.
Well, I'm going to write it down.
Okay. It's just delightful. It's set in a bookshop.
I
Hence
love
the
books
story.
that take this book that I have with me today.
There you go, the Little Paris
the Little
Bookshop,
Paris
yeah.
Bookshop. Yeah, I love mysteries, anything to do with shops.
So A.J. Vickery runs the bookshop, but it's not been a very good year for him. His most valuable book has gone missing. His wife died, and then a little bundle of love appears on the floor of his bookshop one day, and he doesn't know where from. And
It sounds like fun.
it's just a delightful book.
Okay.
And then A Man Called Over. This is delightful too. Oh, it's by a Swedish author, Fredrik Backman. And Over is a curmudgeon, is to put it very mildly, who is drawn in slowly through the course of the book by some new neighbours and old neighbours, and he reluctantly and not even realizing, I think, assumes the role of beloved uncle and grandfather to the community in which he lives, but he does it so grumpily that it's a lovely read. So neither of these books are bog you down reading. They're just restful reading.
Yeah, I like
delightful.
intersperse. I'm going to read this type of book, and now I need a little rest. I'm going to read something a little easier that won't take my won't
have
tire
too many
my mind
voices
out too much.
Yeah.
I noticed in your
Both
lap
of those.
you have the mindfulness coloring book. Coloring is a big thing right now, and I noticed you got the
Huge.
Van Gogh coloring book
We
up
have.
at the front desk.
We have postcards for colouring.
I
You
know,
know, you
it's
colour your own
amazing.
postcards. We
It's-
have calendars for colouring.
I
We
know,
have.
it's amazing.
Yep. So this
I
is
love to
one of
colour.
them. Yep. I grew up colouring.
Did you stay within the lines?
I stayed within the lines, but
See, I did too, and most artists say to me, Willie.
yeah, but I just think that's our camouflage, Willie. That was, you know, we stay between the lines on the book,
Right.
but then we sort of expand the
So this
boundaries
is
a
good
bit
for
outside
traveling
that.
with. Yeah, a little.
Yeah,
just
yeah, a
if
little
you need
stress relief. Yeah. So there are so many versions of
Yeah.
this sort of book, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, yeah, huge. A great relaxation.
Yeah, no, I noticed that there's some ad on TV for these coloring books that you can get, and all these markers you can get. I have to use my Sharpies or felt. I don't like with crayons or colored pencils
I
anymore.
like
got
coloured
the-
pencils. See?
I see. Yeah. Well, but now coloring, I find that a very big a stress reliever. Reliever. Sit down
And
at the
there it is, you know,
table because
that's
it just you have to concentrate on that coloring.
The subtitle: Anti-stress art therapy for
It
busy
is.
people.
It is therapy. So, well, before we leave here today, tell us a little bit. Give us a telephone number, the website again, different things, your hours.
Okay, so the website is www.benningtonbookshop.com. We have a Facebook page. We also put out a newsletter each month, so if you'd like to subscribe to the
I didn't
newsletter.
write my name. Do you have the?
We have a book on the counter.
I didn't
if you
sign that
just-
the other day.
Or you can just
I
email
forgot.
me at the bookshop, phil@benningtonbookshop.com, and I'll sign you up.
I'm not very technologically
Okay.
sound.
Well, the newsletter comes through the email, so yeah. So it features author interviews,
I'll
book
find somebody
reviews, and our student reviews. I mentioned we publish a student review each month.
Right.
Yeah.
And phone number?
Phone number is 802-442-5059, and we're happy to order books for you.
Okay.
You can also order books through our website online. You can just go on.
okay.
We have a look for books function there, and you just plug in, and it'll take you to the ordering site.
Again, I gotta pick the book up and
Yes, and
look at
read
it.
the cover and look at the cover.
And I try to be so. People are always get upset with me because I usually with a paperback I won't even crease.
No.
There'll be no crease and thing because I try to be so careful. If I do crease it, I get
You
upset.
get set,
I'm
yeah.
a little.
It hurts the book.
I'm a little,
Yeah.
And you got to use a bookmark. Got to use a
Yep.
bookmark. So I want to thank you so much, Phil Lewis, for being here today. New owner of the Bennington Bookshop, and I know I'm going to be in there. I've been in there quite a bit already, and I will continue. Do a lot of Christmas shopping in there. Actually, I did a little birthday shopping the other day, and she loved everything I got for her, so I was happy. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank
and say
you.
hi to Linda.
I'll
and
do
I will
that.
certainly come in and look for a couple of these books.
Great.
Okay?
Well,
So
thank you so much. Happy reading.
Okay. And thank you, everybody, for listening to your friends and neighbors or watching or whatever you're doing. And we'll see you again with another new show and another new friend or neighbor. So thanks for listening.
I take a
Goodbye.
long look around, I have to say, this time of year, it becomes clear, those you hold dear, you draw them near, this time of day,